People once believed that when someone died, a crow carried their soul to the land of the dead. But sometimes something so bad happened that a terrible sadness is carried with it and the soul can't rest. Then sometimes, just sometimes, the crow can bring that soul back to put the wrong things right. My two favourite movies of all time are interchangeable with each other. One of those movies is The Crow. The other is Labyrinth, but that's not important until Hollywood decides to screw with it. I remember hearing about the remake of this beloved 90s classic when Jason Momoa was offered the role of Eric Draven. If I recall correctly, that production was riddled with accidents, as though the universe was trying to tell them something. Don't fuck with near perfection. The 94 The Crow movie is what I consider a masterpiece. Does everyone think that? Probably not, but they probably also haven't seen it. The look, feel, sound, and message of the 94 movie hits all the right beats for me. I'll be honest, I didn't see The Crow until I was about 12. For the longest time, I remembered this one scene from a movie that my mother was watching, back when Blockbuster was a thing and new releases were overnight only. A guy was on a grave and a beautiful woman in a white dress came to him. I had no idea what the movie was, or if that scene was even real. Then my mum hired the movie again, and I watched it with her. I was completely blown away. And then I saw the ending scene with Shelley coming back for Eric. Mum explained to me that the lead actor had died while filming, which depressed me more than I care to admit, especially when she told me that he was the son of Bruce Lee, another actor that my mother and I adore. The Crow then led to one of the best friendships of my life. High school sucks for most people, but I met a girl, we hung out one night, watched some movies, and I introduced her to The Crow. She wasn't all that interested at first, thinking it was just about a bird. Once we finished watching it, she was speechless. That sparked a 2-year friendship that had us joined at the hip. We lived and breathed everything Crow and Brandon related. We then moved to everything Michael Wincott related as well. We could recite the movie word for word. We looked into the history and the lore of the comics. We bawled our eyes out whenever we saw that last interview with Brandon Lee. Needless to say, we were fanatics of the movie. That friendship has since dissolved due to something completely unrelated to The Crow. I'm certain that if we were still friends, both of us would be here, sharing our thoughts on the 2024 version. I know that everyone has said that Hollywood has run out of ideas, and that's been proven time and again with shitty remakes, reboots, and reimaginings. I've seen a lot of opinions about this movie, but I wanted to delve a little deeper into some of the things I think the production company got ass backwards. Just in case you've been living under a rock for a while and have no idea what I'm talking about, let's do a quick recap. The Crow is, at its most basic level, a revenge story. But because it was written by a human, there are nuances within that revenge plot that make it enjoyable to a host of people. There's all kinds of love, familial, romantic, and platonic. There's humour. It even made corruption a character, in my opinion, and how it spreads through communities and cities like a plague. The story revolves around the brutal murders of Shelley Webster and Eric Draven, two young people that were just trying their best to live their lives within a dystopian portrayal of Detroit. Or was it just Detroit back then? Through flashbacks and side characters, we learn that Shelley was trying to fight tenant eviction and to get a landlord to help with code violations and safety hazards. Through our narrator, we learn that Shelley and Eric had pseudo-adopted a young girl to give her a safe and warm place to stay. The 2024 version decided to do away with all of that. Shelley didn't have much screen time in the 94 version as the actress didn't want to return to the set after Brandon died. Fair enough, his death affected all the actors and production staff. But the 2024 version doesn't do much with her extended screen time either. What do we actually learn about Shelley in 2024? She has a drug habit. Super relatable. She saw something terrible happen and doesn't do anything to stop it happening again. Why am I meant to care about her? Then we have the so-called protagonist of the movie. I've heard that Bill Skarsgård is an amazing actor, and I'm sure he is. I don't think I've seen anything with him in it, so I'll just take everybody's word that he's a great actor. This is my one experience with Bill, so I may be a little biased in regards to his acting prowess. But let me tell you, I completely believe that he feels totally apathetic about what happened to him and Shelley. When the movie began with Shelley and Eric in rehab, I almost had some kind of hope. I really thought that they would show that sometimes getting clean is easier with someone you care about. Both of them had a habit that they wanted to kick, and I thought they would become each other's pillar. They then decide to escape rehab and get high. For the rest of this review, I will be referring to them as Edgy Funboy and Edgy Darla. So, for almost half of the movie, we're supposed to see and feel the love that Edgy Darla and Edgy Funboy have for each other. Do you know how sad it is that I felt more connected to a flashback? Shelley might not have been a good cook, but she made the protagonist happy and gave him a safe space. This new version decided to do away with Sarah. I mean, fair. Original Funboy and Darla weren't fit to look after a child. Their edgy 2024 counterparts aren't that fit either. That also means that they do away with Eric's humanity. One of the reasons 94 Eric worked was because the actor was able to portray that humanity and kindness that resided in him when he was alive. There was more to Eric than just Shelley. While we didn't see it, we could understand that there was more to Shelley than just Eric as well. Edgy Darla and Edgy Funboy see each other and we're to believe it's instant love. There is nothing outside of them loving each other. I think one of the things that pisses me off the most is that this movie is called The Crow and Edgy Funboy doesn't have a crow guide. Why would you remove a titular character? Yes, I know that in the 94 version they mostly used ravens, but at least they had a member of the Corvus family. Someone was praising the differences between the protagonists of the movies. I read it somewhere about how Edgy Funboy didn't instantly heal. Then what's the point of having a healing factor? Edgy Funboy had to search for those that killed him without the help of a bird guide. Then why call it The Crow if you can't even get that right? And since Edgy Funboy has no issues finding them, I'm going to assume that when he was revived for a second time, he came back as part bloodhound. Insulting to bloodhounds, I know, I'm sorry. Let's talk about Edgy Funboy coming back twice. Apparently, the first time he's revived, he can't have any doubts about the love he and Edgy Darla share. For some reason, the first time he comes back, he's not actually the Crow, as though the person that sent him back knew it would end in failure. But he learns a little more about Edgy Darla's background and immediately begins to doubt their love. Good job. One of the things I feel the 94 version did better was the happy ending. Yes, Shelley and Eric were still dead, but they were together again. Their love connected them in life and in death. Sarah was able to say goodbye to at least one of them and begin the healing process with her mother, who was cleaned up thanks to Eric. Brandon portrayed the grief of losing that bright spot in his life so well. He also showed the kindness and humanity when interacting with Albrecht and Sarah, and the quiet rage towards those that killed him and his fiancée. I'm sure Skarsgård could do something similar with a better script and director. What message was in the 2024 version? That spending 3 weeks getting high with someone is enough to damn yourself to hell? Edgy Funboy, you don't even know if she has food allergies yet. Why are you damning yourself to hell for her? Another thing that was done better in 94 was the villains. Each of them had their own special deaths, but their look is what was so important to distinguish them from everyone else. Even Top Dollar's entourage had their own visual style. The villains of the 2024 version looked the same as everyone else in the movie. I'm almost certain that none of them had tattoos, so I think that's how you can tell that they're evil. How can Edgy Funboy be certain that he was killing someone responsible for his death instead of some guy in a nice suit that just happened to be on the street? I don't mind most of the tattoos that Edgy Funboy has. I'm almost certain that they removed that nipple eye thing that everyone made fun of in the trailer. I wasn't really looking for it because seeing it once was enough. There is a time and place for everything. The 94 version belongs in the spotlight, while the 2024 version should be in the 9th circle of hell for this betrayal. The only decent thing the 2024 version did was remind fans that the 94 one can't be beaten, and bring new fans to it. Had the writers used any other names than Shelley and Eric, it would have had a better chance to succeed. But because they decided to violate someone's legacy, it deserves all the vitriol that's been thrown at it. They didn't improve anything aside from giving us the story of Funboy and Darla we didn't ask for. They removed Eric's humanity and kindness. They removed Shelley's backbone to stand up for what's right. Who was this made for? Who asked to see vapid hollow shells of characters that hold a special place in many people's hearts? Why are we meant to cheer for a pair of crackheads that got themselves killed? If it wasn't for the villain getting them, I'd have no doubt they would have died of an overdose eventually. Then they would have just become another statistic. If you enjoyed this movie, I'm really glad you did. If this is the only version you've seen, I recommend seeing the 94 one, as you can then enjoy the gothic atmosphere the movie was meant to have. Next time you feel like violating something Hollywood, just make a shitty sequel like you usually do. Don't try to improve on what doesn't need it. The Crow 2024 has the problem of being a pizza slicer, all edge and no point. When you fail at showing us, in a visual medium, what we need to know about characters, you done goofed. Thank you for listening to my rant. I hope you enjoy your day. I also apologise if you can hear birds in the background. We're in spring down here and my window is open to let in the early morning breeze. I'll have done my best to keep them quiet, but some of them are really quite spirited. Until next time, have a good one.